Yo, what is up, everybody? You know what time it is. It don't matter when you're listening to it. It is Shooting the Shit Uncensored. And it is me, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin. And we are brought to you by the Vince Russo, the Realm Network, baby. You can get an exclusive first look at this show and the 3 other core shows from the MWA Podcast Network. Guys, and we are also brought to you by the MWA Podcast Network. We cannot forget to show some respect to those guys. But guys, I have tonight a very, very amazing guest. This guy was so keen to do the interview. He messaged me last week and said, let's go, bro. And I'm like, oh shit, bro, it's actually next week. But all good, man. I love that enthusiasm from a guest that's keen to come on, that's keen to chop it up with your boy. But tonight, guys, I want to take a quick pause for the cause to thank those sponsors that help us keep these lights on, because you know these colorful fluoro light bitches are expensive to run. But guys, first up is sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, sleefs.com. Now, guys, if you're an athlete or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out sleefs.com. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression tights, headbands, joggers, socks, mouth guards. And guys, they've even got dirty boxes. That is right. They've got some dirty boxes. If you want to excite the person that you're with in the bedroom, why not rock some dirty boxes, guys? They sent me a bunch of these dirty boxes, and they are the most comfortable boxer shorts that I own, guys. I'm an active guy. I'm always running around. These always stay dry. They stay fresh, and they have some amazing, funny, cool designs on the front of them, guys. So make sure you check out sleeps.com. Use promo code MWA pod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. But guys, also while you're checking things out online, take a break from the porn. Check out healthvape.com. If you're a smoker, you're a vapor, is that even a word? If you're one of those douchebags like me that you walk around and you go and put big clouds up all over the place, Health Vape are going to steer you in the right direction to a healthier life, ladies and gentlemen. All of their products, no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals, and these bitches are vitamin infused, guys. So, guys, look, go check out some of their vape and pod products and start a healthier lifestyle. This is my transition into not vaping anymore, guys. Right? So when I'm waiting to get my health vape in, when I'm going to take this vape thing that I've got, this thing, and I'm just going to chuck it against the wall, because I'm going to be a healthy motherfucker with my healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Guys, as I said at the top of the show, if you want to get an exclusive first look at Shooting the Shit Uncensored with me, your boy, Piers Austin, or you want to get an exclusive first look at Killing the Business hosted by ECW Original, the Kingpin, Angel Medina with Sexton and King Mega, and you want to check out Get Funked hosted by former WCW and TNA star Alan Kwee Funk, and also you want to get an exclusive first look at Nights of the Gimmick Table, where your feelings get left at your door, because when you sit around the round table, nothing is off limits. Hosted by the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider. You need to check out the realmnetwork.com, baby. You get amazing shows, not just from us, but from people like Ben Hameen, Big Vito LaGrasso, Vince Russo, Stevie Richards, Stevie Ray, Shane Douglas, the beautiful people, ODB. The names go on and on, guys. What are you waiting for? Go and subscribe today. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest. He is the cult classic, he is a classic and a half, bro. I'm going to bring him out. He is Mr. Bobby Bishop.
Hey, how you guys going?
I'm good, man. Good. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's good to see you, man. Like, I'm a little bit jealous, bro, because you said you just got back from training. We're in lockdown week 11, man. So, in Queensland, the lockdown restrictions haven't affected you guys too badly, huh?
We still have some restrictions. I guess the biggest thing with Queensland is like we could be locked down by tomorrow, or we could not be. It's such a 50-50 thing nearly every day you'll get some lockdowns. They'll be like, there were 3 cases, we're going to lock down, and then there'll be like there are a few more cases, but it's fine. We might get through it. There's no consistency on what happens.
Dude, you know what? After 11 weeks in lockdown, I kind of feel like this is like just our new normal at the moment, and I'm just
Oh,
like, this is just how it is. But unfortunately, there is light at the end of the tunnel for us Sydney siders because they are opening it up, man. But man, like, I've been wanting to have you on for a while, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I've seen, you know, your social media presence and the stuff that you guys have been doing in Queensland. And, you know, and I actually was at a show where I think you and Lucille came down for PWA. I believe it
oh
was
yeah.
the beginning of this year, or it might have been end of last.
Yeah, it was probably about 4 months ago. It was the Bring Your Gear show.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring Your Own Gear, yeah.
Was that the first time you guys had made your way down to Sydney for PWA?
Like we've been there before and helped out with like Coliseum. I think I had a small debut on PWA about 2 years ago, but it wasn't as a wrestler. I was Big Fudge's bodyguard for his voting poll. I was just sitting there making sure, and I would have to like tell people off if they didn't put the pens back, and he was very adamant about that. Like he's throwing whibs like, "Hey man, if they walk up that pen, it comes out of your pay that I don't give you."
Wow.
But yeah, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that was the first time we definitely debuted. There was sort of talks through like COVID and stuff like that about us possibly coming down, which was great because like it fired us up a lot to start like training and trying to get better with no training. So it was just me in my garage doing push-up squats and then squishing mats together and doing rolls and stuff like that, and then watching wrestling when I should have been working from home.
But you know what? That's the thing. Like, whenever you have to work from home, I find it's the most like distracting thing ever. It's like, especially if you've got a lot of nice toys to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
it's the same with wrestling, like as well. Like, it's so easy to go down a rabbit hole of like, oh shit, I just watched 8 hours of wrestling. Like,
pretty much. Like my job at the time was like, I was helping out. I was a debt collector, and they put me in a hardship or they merged everyone in hardship because there's no point collecting in a pandemic. And what they did was like, all right, everyone, so we're going to be here. Just take the calls. And I started timing it, and it's like, man, there's a call. The calls usually last about 7 to 8 minutes, sometimes 10, depending on the person. And even then, it's like being on hold to go get more information to transfer them, and that takes another 10 minutes. And then I have to wait, when I get off the phone, wait another 10 minutes or 15 for another call, sometimes in half hour. And I remember the first week just being like, I'm just going to abuse the shit out of this because I told myself I was going to be professional at home. And then as soon as I started happening, like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm going to play video games and watch whatever I want, even though I've been told not to do that. But like, what are they going to do?
How are they going to tell?
Nah, they can't. I didn't quit. I had such a blast being at home. And it was relieving because like I was telling people, you know, like don't freak out, it's okay. We're here to help you. Put your accounts on hold and stuff like that. And then I had such a blast. And then as soon as I went back to the office, they were like, "Hey guys, swerve! We didn't put those accounts on hold. You're gonna have to call them back and sort out and try and trick them on the hardship." And I think it was like a few weeks later, I was like, "Yeah, I quit." Like, thanks for having me for 2 years, but I think I'd rather be happy being poor than, you know, being depressed and working a full-time job. And I know the big selling point throughout the whole thing they were telling us was like, oh, you should be happy to still have a full-time job. And it just sort of hit me like, no, there's no such thing as being happy. Just putting up with that. But essentially we're just doing their dirty work, basically.
Dude, that's rough, man. And you know, but as far as like doing that now, like what are you doing for now? Like, are you working? Are you just wrestling full time?
I mean, I was very foolish when I quit because like I just took over a school, like a wrestling school. And I'm not obviously the most advanced guy here, but I know a lot of people. I'm very like in terms of like very well connected with people from different states, like EPW, and you know, I know guys from Melbourne, I know guys from the PWA, and I knew I could probably do something with that and help. Whereas the last people who were running it, they were connected, but they weren't very friendly connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When I quit my job, I was like, oh, I could probably get enough people in there where we'll pay the rent, we'll pay the bills, and maybe I'll have an income to live off. And honestly, I was so foolish thinking that would happen. I mean, we still broke even, and we still break even now. But I was foolish to think without shows in COVID, in the pandemic, that I was going to somehow increase those numbers of trainees and somehow have an income off of it. I mean, what we managed to do in the pandemic was amazing in terms of like we managed to build a school, we managed to improve it. We got Mark Davison to be the head trainer. We did some amazing things. It's just the idea of living off of it was a very foolish dream to start off with at first. And I learned the hard way.
Man, it's a good goal to have, though, man. Like, you know, that's what you want to be doing. Like, it's a very dedicated goal, you know. But like in any business starting out, it takes time to really establish, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and what actually happened, but it was something changed. Probably about it would have been as soon as Davis came in, and then like we started getting a bit of momentum. I realized every time we'd gain people, we'd lose someone, but we would lose people who would just start out and then they either adjust or they don't adjust, and then with the same sort of dedicated people, and then we started getting people who were actual wrestlers starting to come, and something sort of changed in my mind about it, where I didn't look at it as it's foolish, but like I know you should treat it like a business, but I didn't look at it as something for me to make money off. I realized it was something to build, because that's something that sort of was missing in Queensland, except for a few people. Was a lot of people see wrestling as a cash grab in terms of like I can put them on a bare minimum show because the audience don't know any better between a good show, a great show, and a crap show. Besides those little crap shows that run and you can tell they're like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Bare minimum to the bare minimum, like that kind of thing. And then my whole mindset about it changed, and so did Lucille's. Like we both just sort of realized that it was bigger than us if we build something. And like, I mean, it's starting to happen now. Like pro leagues returning. We got a school full of guys who are just like in absolute better condition than they probably ever would have been before we took over the school. And I know it's a little bit bragging, but it is what it is. Because
I don't think it's as bragging if the school was run poorly beforehand and you guys have come in and made positive changes. You know, for me, I look at stuff like, you know, whether it's like MMA gyms or even wrestling schools. To, you know, they're community building in a way, because you're building, you know, a space with a bunch of like-minded people that love the same thing, that have the same goal of becoming professional wrestlers.
Absolutely. Look, like there are a couple of schools around. I always respect it. There's a couple of people who train in their backyards around here, and that's where I started. And I respect the hell out of them what they said to me the first time I came in there, which was, I'm going to use you to make money. I'm going to take your money because that's why I want you here. However, I will train you to the best of my abilities, and then when I can't train you anymore, I'll tell you where you can go to get more training. And what they essentially meant by that was like, until I can't train you anymore, I'll tell you to go to Melbourne or Sydney or something like that to try and get something from there. And I always respected, like, these people were very much carnies, but I respected their upfront honesty with what they're giving me.
But that's the thing, like you hear so many stories of like carnies that just like screw guys out of their money, but like it just sounds like your experience with a carny was like, hey, like I'm a fucked human being and I'm going to steal your money. I'm going to make money off you, but I'm telling you I'm going to do it. Like
yeah. I mean, like as soon as that was the best part, is as soon as he said it, I knew what the fuck was up with the wrestling scene. Like I knew, okay, this guy's obviously trying to take my money and he's trying to teach me what he can, but he's obviously not going to teach me too much until I can actually do these things without his help. And he's going to try and make as much money off of me. The difference is he was just flat out up front with me about it. And then I respect the hell out of it, because I looked at him like, no, you know what? Like, I'm cool with that because I know exactly what you're going to be like for me now. Like, and to his credit, like we've had no heat. When I eventually did move on and went to like bigger and better places and stuff like that, we still friends to this day, because I always respect the fact that he just was flat out up front with me about it. And I met some other
that way.
Absolutely, because I trained with him and I also trained with other carnies, because that's what this place was full of. Yeah. And I noticed there was a big difference. The other carnies I started training with, they were very manipulative in ways of like, oh, you can't go out. You know, we can teach you everything you can learn if you don't want to go to Lance Storm School. We can teach you that. Like, you know, yeah, I know. That's the face I pulled. And then as soon as I absorbed as much as I could in this area, it was very funny because I was traveling for shows because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I thought you're supposed to go travel and wrestle as many places, but I was wrestling on shows that weren't big. They were probably at the same level of shows we have around here, just in different states.
Yeah.
And the wrestler called Rufio, yeah, lovely dude. He shoots straight up if you're doing something shit. Once he was helping booking a show, and I said, "Oh look, I can't make it because I'm a tag champ at this show down here, and they want me on that date." And I'm so sorry. And he personally messaged me, and he said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then he broke it down for me, saying, "If you had traveled to go to training at like Nui Pro or something like that, I would have been like, oh yeah, man, that's fair. But the fact you're leaving for a show that's quality isn't even on the same level as the one you're skipping right now." And it was true because the one I was skipping was much better than the one I was going to. And he's like, if you're not gaining anything, why are you traveling? Like, why are you bothering? And immediately after that, I immediately told the guys, like, I don't think I can commit to these future dates anymore. Dropped the belt, and then I planned every trip that has to be training, or I have to wrestle someone who's very experienced, or like I was very hustling, like learning how to hustle basically. And like
that's the thing. Wrestling someone who's more experienced than you is the only way that you're anyone that gets better at anything, really.
100%. But like, and that's the thing. Like when I started wrestling people who were like better, I started wrestling people who had like I wrestled a guy who was wrestling on where I was a tag champ with him. He ran a show in Sydney that had PWA wrestlers on it, and I immediately deduced like, okay, so what can I do now to make this a positive thing? I spoke to him. It's like, oh, what dates you got for future shows? And immediately went to his show, and I started training with the PWA guys. So when I went and wrestled on the show, like it was even easier. Like I was trying to network and stuff like that, and yeah, and those guys are like the friendliest dudes. Like even the big boss, like yeah, even the guy who runs it, he has this persona that looks like he's unapproachable, but he is the chillest dude. He'll message me at 1 o'clock.
One of the nicest guys as well.
He'll message me at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock, or like sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning about comic book stuff, and I'm all for it. So I'll be like, I'll turn to Lucille, Jess. I'll be like, hey, Lucille, sorry. I'll look at her and be like, hey, so have a good night. I'm gonna have to stay up now because we're doing this thing now.
Oh man, but you know what? Like I think as well, like pro wrestling kind of reminds me a lot like the music industry as well. Like you look at musicians and stuff like that, and people like look at pro wrestlers as some of the coolest human beings in the world, and they are. But like in reality, like pro wrestlers and musicians all grew up as kind of like really introverted people that were like spending their time looking at something where most people went, you like that, or like you listen to that sort of, you know what I mean? Like where it's like that's the thing that I've found. Like, am I right?
I was watching I let YouTube just play random stuff throughout the day when I'm like driving and stuff like that. And recently I just allowed it to, you know how YouTube just gives you, hey, you like this? I'll suggest this. I've let it float into the Joe Rogan podcasts, and some of them are funny, and some of them are like, yeah, this is annoying me. I'm going to move on to the next one. But it was one in particular where he's talking about actors, and I paid attention because what he said about it was like, oh my god, this is wrestling as a whole. He talked about actors in general. Actors are fucked up people, and like what he means by that is like they're not all mentally there. Like it takes a special type of person to want to do that. Yeah, that one. Yeah, and then it hit me too. It's like wrestling. It's the same with wrestling. Like we're all kind of fucked up, like in a weird mental way, not in a bad way, just like in a way of like it takes a certain individual to want to do this.
But you know what? It takes dedication, and I think that the world of pro wrestling to go in there and I put it this way, like taking a back bump, it goes against every natural instinct we have as human beings to not, you know what I mean? Like you go like to go backwards, your immediate reaction is to turn, put your hand out. You know what I mean? Like that process, even for a lot of people, is a hard one to sort of grasp at the start of it.
Like, I mean, yeah, like I didn't even back pump properly till probably the second year of training. Like, because I just couldn't grasp it. And it's weird because I was way probably fitter looking than I am now. Like, I was very lean. I was very, like, now I just look, I'm not chubby, but I'm not thin. I'm just a mass. But somehow I've, like, over the years when I look at it, when I first joined wrestling, I was this lean, sort of kid looking dude who's probably in his late 20s. And yeah, wrestling's aged this, by the way. But I thought I was athletic because I was playing like sports. I was doing sword fighting. I was learning like fighting styles and stuff like that. And on every weekend, I was always doing something. And I get to wrestling and I realize I'm not even close to athletic. I'm very fit, but I'm not athletic, if that makes sense. Body control is not there. And now it's weird because I look at myself now, fit me, and then there's me now. And I always say, like, fit me now could kick the crap out of fit me, like, in terms of not just athleticism and everything.
But do you think, like, because you train people now, like, and I asked Lucille this when I had her on, and it's like, do you see some people come in and their mentality with what the wrestling business is and what their mentality, I should say, is like their conception of what it is completely different to the reality of what it is? Like, I can just imagine you guys get so many people coming in there going, oh yeah, man, like, I've never trained a day in my life. Surely you don't need to have cardiovascular to do this. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, and then very quickly realize how much cardio you need to do it.
Oh yeah, like there's some dudes who come in and like, I mean, he's my favorite. He's actually one of my favorite clients because I know. I love. There's one thing I don't like is like when I get clients and I see they actually have an ability to do it, but then they do it for a bit and they realize it's not for them, and it always saddens me. Not because I'm not angry at them. Like, I feel like I'm actually happy for them to be upfront with themselves, but I'm always angry because it's like he could have done it. And it's unfortunate that people who want to do it don't have what you got. And then on the other hand of that, this is my favorite clients because I love it because I know what's going to happen once they do this. But I'll get people coming in and we'll do the cardio and they'll gas out and then we'll go do something else. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to stand out, And then they'll stand out for a bit. They won't do anything for the whole session. And then they'll come back the second session and they'll say, oh yeah, I'm going to take it easy today. And then they'll avoid the cardio. But they don't realize I'm not going to let them in the ring unless they do cardio. Yeah. Immediately, like, and I'll be friendly with them. Like, I'll watch them, see what their body's like, and I won't dojo the crap out of them, but I will do enough to let them know this is your limit and it's not close to ours. So it's up to you now to dedicate yourself to get that better, or you're going to be here for you're never going to pass this. And majority of the time, they like within a week later, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's not really for me," or they keep paying me and not showing up, and then I'm just like, "Yeah, okay, we'll give this a few weeks, and they'll eventually get the courage to message me," and then they do.
But that's the thing I think as well. Like you look at the old school way of training, where like trainers, their goal was to run people away from the business. It's like if you could cop the ass kicking, the intense cardio sessions, which are just grueling. Okay, no worries. If you keep coming back, we'll keep taking your money. But like the start of it, where I think now it's probably evolved, where wrestling is probably more of a safer place than what it used to be like that.
Yeah, but well, I mean, yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, but in the same sense, it comes down to, I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's in the business, and it's like, is wrestling for everybody? I said, yes, it is. Wrestling is for everybody who's prepared to put the work in. There's a difference. It could be for everybody and anybody, but you have to give it to it to be able to get good at it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, we had a trainee, and he was so quick-witted and so funny, and like he had everything that you could feel this charisma in there. It just wasn't He just couldn't put in the effort for wrestling. And I don't mean that badly, because and this is what we're talking about with this whole like safe place and running people out. He was good with the cardio, but he tried something that I told him not to do, which was we're doing rolls, and he was doing a special type of roll where we jump through the rope and do a 3/4. And I told him only the people who are on that level can do it. He wanted to do it, and there was no stopping him. I told him, like, don't do it unless you're confident you can do it, because I don't want you to hurt yourself. And immediately he rolled in there, hit his head. He got a concussion, and we sat him out. We talked to him, saying, like, this is what we're talking about. You need to relax and stuff like that. And yeah, it's. I hate the fact he got a concussion. But this is just the reason I'm bringing the story up, because it's a good example of it. Is as soon as he had that scare, it made him realize he's going to have to deal with that probably sometime down the track, because accidents happen. And he immediately messaged me saying, "This is not for me, because I won't be able to get past that." And I respect that. Like, I feel bad he got a concussion, but there's always something like that there for people who they'll have a moment where they're like, "Am I going to be able to get past this, or am I just, too scared to?" And I respect them being too scared and not wanting to do it, because fuck me, it's terrifying to do things that are out of your like body limits.
But I think as well, like, sometimes when you get injured, and it could be in any sort of sport, is like you sometimes have that mental fear afterwards of it happening again, like that injury happening again. And like, it sounds like this sort of like really scared the guy straight, but in the same sense, you need to listen to the coaches when they're telling you, hey, you're not ready for this. And at the same sense, like, I can see how you would feel bad for him, but at the end of the day, he's the one who did it,
Yeah, like I do, like I feel bad for him. I do feel for him. At the same time, like, I'm okay. I'm consciously okay with myself about it, because I did tell him not to do it. If it had been the other way, where I was like, "Oh, you can do it," boom, I would have been. I probably would have been, very torn up about it.
But that comes as you being a proper trainer and having the right sort of sense to step in there. And even though he was adamant he wanted to do it, I'm sure there were some trainers go, "Oh yeah, fuck it, come in there, give it a go."
100%. Like, there's a story I like to tell people. Is it's just two, but I'll do the first one. I used to train with a guy called Xander Sullivan. I don't know if you've ever seen him on PWA. I think he does the conspiracy guy with the headgear.
Yes, yeah.
I have a lot of respect for that dude, because like, we both started in the same class at a school that was training in wrestling. Because like I said, I dealt with carnies. I actually dealt with a school, and they look still kind of carnies, but yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But one of the first, and they very old school training, like, terrifyingly old school. He asked how to do the Ric Flair knee drop onto the chest.
Oh no! Yeah.
Or that thing when and then you do the 3/4 roll over him. With the knee on the chest. Yeah. And they told him, "I'll just do it and land it there," and he did it, and he cracked my chest. And their immediate reaction to it was like, I was causing so much pain. I jumped up, grabbed my chest, and I was just like trying to like make sure I was still breathing. The thing you're checking yourself. Yeah. And I remember hearing the line, "It's okay, he's tough, he'll get through it," to Xander. And I remember immediately, like, this is them trying to chase me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were like, yeah. And like, we don't do that anymore. Like, no one does it anymore. But I remember when I started training, that was the last, like, that was the tail end of that old school mentality sort of dying out around here in terms of training. And like, I remember just being fucked up from it and being like, yeah, this sucks, but I don't want to stop. But it really sucks that they didn't really think that through, and got me hurt.
It's like a lack of duty of care with some people, really, and that's why I think now you see so many good schools out there that are doing things the right way, like yourself, MCW, PWA, and I'm sure obviously RCW and Wrestle Rampage as well. I just can't leave anyone out. But I think there's a lot of schools out there that are doing things the right way, and it's showing on what's happening on the shows, because we're not seeing people getting injured left, right, and center.
Yeah. I mean, like, and that's the thing too. Like, it's not just it's not just training it's improving. It's like the show's quality are improving because of the training improving. Like the booking is even like people are trying sort of newish ideas because there's that old school mentality where booking matches for the sake of booking matches is starting to disappear, which is the best part. Like like I love shows that will book something like table match or a bull rope match because the story led to it, not because it's just an attraction for the next show. Like PWA are very good at that. Like where they don't give you everything in one show, they'll give you something big, but then they'll do something to lean onto the next show that's really good, and they're not just giving it to you. You literally have to follow the story and be like, okay, I know why we're here now. It's not just you showed up and like, hey, we're just having a steel cage match. Like, yeah.
And that's the thing. I think it was. I think pro wrestling fans that are very I think long-term pro wrestling fans that have been fans for years can sort of see that sort of booking and see enjoy the storyline getting to that point of having this big blow-off match, which you bring in the additional gimmicks and toys to play with, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many sort of I love this misconception of you can only obviously in certain shows, you can have spot shows where, festival stuff where you can add little tables and stuff like that. But really, really big payoff matches are so good when they're payoff matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I've always been a fan of deathmatch wrestling, but now as I've gotten older, I kind of look at it and go, I still enjoy it for what it is. But and also there's amazing performers that do it. But for me, it's when I sit down and watch a death match, I like it to be okay, there's a story why these two individuals want to carve the fuck out of each other.
Yeah. I love blood feuds and stuff like that, or something that leads to because Deathmatch Down Under at the moment, I think they're doing some great stuff down there in terms. Agree. They got some clout. They are hitting all the right notes to getting noticed. I personally can't. I can sit through certain deathmatch, but I wouldn't be able to watch consistent death matches. Not that they do that. They're very good at doing your good matches. You have your wrestling matches and you have your death matches. But that hit a good tone in terms of hey, we got this for people who love wrestling. Hey, we got this for people who like comedy or entertainment. Hey, we got deathmatch wrestling. This is what you're here for. This is the main event. Here we go. It sells its content correctly instead of just being having a match for the sake of having a match.
I completely agree, and it's almost Deathmatch Down Under. I put it to the wrestling buffet. You know what I mean? Oh, you want a little bit of comedy wrestling? Yeah, no worries. Here we go. Oh, you want some deathmatch? Here we go. You want technical wrestling? Okay, no worries. Here's some chain match. You know what I mean? It's that buffet of professional wrestling where you can offer your audience. People might come for the deathmatch, but then see Jess Troy versus Punch Drunk Hysteria, for example, and oh wow, we got to see a classic chain wrestling match and or a high flying match. So it's all these different elements that make it a good organization, and to take that chance.
And also, and that's what's so good about it too is if you're paying attention to these wrestlers, Deathmatch is listening to fans on matches they want or things that are getting good response. Because I remember before we had Istria versus Troy, Istria making reference that he could take out Troy. I think it was in a PWA promo where he's if I get in there with her, I'll take her down too. It was something like that. And it was just a little tease. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, maybe that's a future match that PWA might have. And then out of nowhere, Deathmatch did it. And I don't know if they listened to it or they already had it planned, but the fact that it feels like such a connected universe with its wrestlers online and JXT and Fox good examples for it because they will immediately, once they have opponents, they will immediately go on socials and just bang the crap out of it, start dunking on them, and then they'll dunk on other people who are getting involved or commenting who are wrestlers as well, because there's a good chance they're probably going to face them eventually as well. And I always love that little interconnecting stuff for future wrestling. And I know for a fact that Deathmatch will watch those interactions and see which ones, if a certain wrestler comments and everyone's interacting with that because they think that's funny or they think it's well that match would be fucking cool. Then a month later, that match just suddenly happens. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think they got the finger on the pulse, and I get a almost like a game changer feel, like with Deathmatch Canon, like game changer wrestling, in the States, which is in my eyes and my view is probably one of the best, I'd say, indie promotions out there in the world. And I think DMDU is doing a very stellar job of bringing that sort of style to the Australian market.
Yeah. Well, in terms of I have a good question. Who do you like? Who's in terms of the American indie scene? So we all know you have your main guys who are big names, and you have your sort of semi big names like they're probably a big name on a certain fed you like, and then you have the one name that's sort of making a name for himself. Who's your favorite? Because I've recently got a new one, and I love telling people who he is.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up. I've got two at the moment. One, Marsha Slamovich, and two, Kurt Gannon, who is from Wichita, who I got put onto, but he's a guy who's coming up and probably just on the cusp of being signed. And just if you see this guy, big, tattooed, jacked-looking dude, just looks $1 million. And then I'm going to chuck in the third one, Effie, because I think Effie's cool as fuck.
That's cool.
What about you?
So I've recently, because there are I love watching a lot of indie wrestling, mainly because if I ran a show one day, which is not entirely out of the books, I want to know what styles work in certain shows and on IWTV and stuff like that. What elements look good, and not just be like, hey, we're just gonna run a Ring of Honor show, and rip it off. I like to look at different elements. And recently, as I'm going through IWTV, I've been watching a lot of freelance wrestling and a couple other shows, and I've discovered a dude named Dan the Dad, and he fucking kills me every time because he's really good. Yeah. But fuck his if I wrote down paper and told people, hey, this guy's gimmick, he's a dad, they're like, they'd probably tell me I don't get it. I know, just you've got to watch it. You don't need it. You watch it. The guy comes out. When he has a belt, he puts the belt in a dad carriage. Where they keep the babies in the front.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and he's got the dad hat, the dad facial hair, and the dad mug on like that. And his pose is literally like a stern like that at the audience. And then he does it to his opponents when they're talking crap, and it's just when your dad's telling you off the point. Oh, it kills me every time.
I love that. I'm going to check that out. Is that what you say, freelance? He's wrestling?
Yeah, it's in freelance wrestling. I remember it was late at night. It would have been at least 1 a.m, and I was just not sleeping, and I just turned it on, and he just came on. And I was trying not to laugh or make a loud noise about it because Lucille was trying to sleep. And then the opponent quoted Step Brothers. When he's his opponent goes, "Shut up, Dan." He's like, "It's Dan the Dad," and he does that. I'm not going to call you Dad, even if there was a fire. And Lucille wakes up laughing. She just heard that one line.
Oh, that's fucking gold. Have you seen this guy? He's on. His whole gimmick is, I think his name is Game Boy Leroy or something like that. But he's basically he'll have matches. And he'll be sending out playing a game on I don't know what it is. It's like a Switch or some shit. And then someone will be coming and doing a clothesline, and you'll just
Yeah, I was very disappointed when I saw him, and not because of him entirely. So my original gimmick was a retro kid, Bobby Bishop, and the idea is I was a man child in an adult 30-year-old body trying to do wrestling. Who loves video games and stuff like that, and I had an idea to pull out a Game Boy and do exactly that. And then I was watching Game Changer, and there he was. It had to be a year later when I came up with the idea. It was before COVID. I thought about it, and then I started watching it up because that's when I started expanding on my wrestling on indies. And then I saw it, and I was like, yeah, okay. And it's good, but because now I've watched it, like it was eye-opening because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's what it would look like. And then as I kept watching it, like, it works for him, but I can see it being very restrictive at some point, like down the track. Yeah, if I wanted to go and wrestle, if I need to take a serious match or do something like that, like I can see it's good to have a gimmick, but if that's all you're focusing on, then you've got nothing when you can't do that anymore.
100%. And I kind of feel like the same way when I look at like Orange Cassidy. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. It's funny. It's enjoyable. And you're an athletic dude. But how long could you do that gimmick for before it? Like, yeah, I mean, like I kind of like watch it and go, okay. Like once you've seen it once, it's hard to really watch it again, you know?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I think there's in wrestling, if you don't transition to something eventually, then you're eventually going to be left out. Like they're going to forget about you, and it's hard because 100% I chose the retro kid gimmick, not because not because I thought it was a smart idea, because I thought it was a smart idea to be lazy because I realized I was very limited in my skill level at the time, and I was still getting booked on shows because there's not many people at the time who were wrestling here, and that's on me because I probably should have waited out until I was actually a much better wrestler. So I chose a gimmick where doing the man-child thing because it means if I make a mistake, I just look like I'm an idiot. Except, and like it looks like I didn't think. Yeah, and like I did slow-mo spots. I did everything, and like as I got better, I realized okay. And being fighting in the ring is fine, but I need to get better at wrestling. I need to do different moves, but I need to like expand on this. So I started being a bit more serious, but still an idiot. Like almost like the dumb. The best way to describe it is Scott Pilgrim. You know, he's kind of dumb, but he's kind of like he's
almost so smart he's stupid.
Yes, yeah, essentially, and like. The more I sort of jumped on that, the more I realized how much fun I could have. And the first thing, one of the things I'll state to the day I die, and I've told Lucille this so many times, like if it never happened, but if I was ever signed somewhere, if you watch those WWE Hall of like WWE biographies and stuff like that, and they always talk about how they cut into the business. I always said like, if by some miracle or something happened where I somehow got famous, on my documentary, the first thing I'm going to say is I rode a Lime scooter in my entrance to the ring with an air horn, and it was the greatest moment of my life in wrestling. I could wrestle Ric Flair, and I'll still be like, yeah, it was pretty good, but I rode a Lime scooter to the ring, and that was fucking dope because it was in this like this club, this gig venue, and I just come out on an electric scooter like those things you pay off the street, and no one suspected it with big helmet on and everything, and just like trying to get people to move. And like I still look at those photos and just be like, fuck, I wish I could do that again. And then, sure enough, about a year later, like there was a company down here that started getting others to do it, and I'm like, yeah, you did, yeah, you did. You stay there and think that was your idea.
You stole the gimmick, brother.
Worst part was, besides a mobile, someone who recorded it and put it on Instagram, there is no footage of it. And that's
really?
That's always one of the things with Queensland and certain feds. Not all feds. Some feds were very good at keeping footage, but there's that kindness of laziness as well, where they're like, it's all right. We'll just get the show and we'll do it next time, and then there's no footage for the rest of the guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man. But how did you come up with the cult classic? Like, is it like you were thinking, retro kid cult? You know what I mean? Like,
100%. So 100%. So like, I was trying to think like when I started, and it's kind of like a meta thing, but like when I started as Bobby Bishop, the retro kid, I was so fucking over with the crowd, like insanely over, like, and like I'm not bitter about it. I got bitter when it became super noticeable, and still nothing happened, and certain bookers decided to not do the natural organic thing. They decided to just keep following the same formula, and the crowd just. It was a long story, but with I was over for a good 2 or 3 years. And especially at one company, I would go out there and the crowd would sing, that Hey Bailey song or the Hey Baby.
Yeah.
They would do the Hey Bobby song, all in sync, and it'd blow my mind because I was like, I didn't think in my first year of wrestling I'd be this over. And it's because it's such a natural, because my gimmick is such a natural man-child where you just like watching an underdog wrestle every night. And I just so happened that people, when I got booked, people were pulling out of the show, and I got their opponents, and it just happened their opponents happened to be, I don't know, a champion, or it had to be a big dude. So I was wrestling these guys who would fuck me up, but I would come out with like this happy enthusiasm, and everyone just followed me. They were like, this guy's an underdog for sure. So what happened was, as time went on, like, it didn't lead anywhere. And no matter how much people were cheering and screaming, like, I ended up like just giving up on anything changing anyway. That's why I traveled and trained. Yeah. But when I've come back now, like, I've realized, okay, well, the scene's changed now, so I'm a little bit more. I'm very humble with my own skills. I don't think I'm top level here, but I feel like I'm almost at a very high level in terms of who's around. And then I thought about, like, what am I going to do when I get? I'm going to transition to something. And then I was like, maybe I'll do a gimmick where, like, I'm frustrated that I was so over and nothing happened and stuff like that for me. But then I was like, that doesn't make sense, because if anyone remembers my wrestling, and which no one will anyway, I lost all the time. I lost, like, every match nearly. And then it hit me, like, what is something that was really over at the time, but then, like, you don't, and then you forget about it, and then you remember it. And I realized a cult classic movie is that, because a cult classic is something, essentially, it's something that wasn't meant to be big, but it's big, it's epic, it's historically big somehow. And it didn't even need box office draw or anything like that. It was just a huge fucking underground movement that everyone jumped on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And I saw a lot of relevance in that line. I was like, it makes sense, because I still have people cheer for me like they did before, just not as much. But everyone remembers the retro. They all come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh man, when you used to come out to Baywatch, the theme song, and slow-mo run to the ring, and then give everyone the thumbs up, and then the peace sign, and I do like the comedy shtick in the ring." They all remember it, and and it reminds me, like, it's like cult classics. Like, you just remember them because they're so quotable and pop cultural. Like, 100%. And I thought, and there's nothing worse than calling yourself the pop culture Bobby Bishop.
That would have been an interesting gimmick, though.
Yeah, but like, it's just me. Like, I was trying to think, like, doing promos where I'm just quoting every movie, which I pretty much do to this. I do in normal life anyway. But it's impossible not to. But yeah, that's essentially why I did the cult classic, and I thought it was so cool too, because like it feels so natural as the next evolution of a retro kit, like retro, and then cult classic. It's still retro. Like, I still do some throwbacks and matches where people are like, "Oh yeah, this is what it was like before." It's just a bit more serious now.
Yeah, dude, I like it because it's a way you can sort of go either way with it. You know what I mean? Like, with a name like that, you can sort of alter it. You can become either like a really over baby face, or get a lot of heat as a heel, because it's like, I'm the cult fucking you know what I mean? Like, the level of arrogance you can sort of give it as a heel, but also the underdog sort of, like, rally people behind as a baby face as well. So it can work in both ways.
100%. Like, a lot of people have asked me about, like, "Oh, well, who are you?" And like, I'm essentially the same person. I'm just a man-child. As like the cult classic is just a title, and I know that's the wrong answer to everything. But then one person told me, like, you can call yourself the cult classic and just have really fucking good matches, and that's your moniker. That's it. It doesn't need to be a gimmick. It could just be a cool. It's like when you see the UFC fighters that have like little nicknames. Like, they're not really the Slasher in there, are they? Like,
he's not really a pit bull.
Nah, yeah, he's not really mauling them. Like, and like, I thought that was really good, because the cult classic started to come in where I did a spot in a Rumble, and I think I got more notice from this spot in Australia than I should have. And I came out, it was called a Purge Rumble. And I swear to God, it's just like everyone comes out with weapons, and they just like, you have anything you want. Like, I think Lucille had a Captain America shield, and she was just like whamming people with it.
That's awesome.
some people came out with like a trash can chair. I came out with a replica of Thor's hammer, and
even better.
I didn't hit anyone with it. What happened was I lifted up in the air in the middle of the ring, screamed, and I hit the ground so hard, and everyone in the whole ring.
Oh, that's even that is.
And like literally the crowd just exploded. Like it was the loudest pop I've ever heard in my whole entire wrestling life. And like they were doing the holy shit, this is wrestling chant, everything. And it was such a great moment because I mean it's definitely it went viral a little bit on Twitter. And like a lot of people see it like, oh, that was such a great spot. I always remember it because I broke the fucking hammer that wasn't my hammer. It was a $200 hammer, and in the video, like you see it, and I just on the fly next, I broke it. I'm like, ah, shit. My first reaction is I look back at the commentary table where the guy who owns the hammer is sitting, and just go throw the thing back at him, like because it's just nothing I can do now. Like I knew the first thing in my head is like, once this match is over, I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Oh, dude! Was the guy pissed after the show?
I mean, he said he wasn't, but I'm sure he was. Like, I did offer to pay for it, but
you said you did the right thing.
Yeah. Like, but what was weird about it was like, I didn't think anything of it. I thought I'm just gonna put it up online and people have a few laughs and stuff like that, and or some people will like go full cornet on me, going like, "Oh, you're killing the business." But I never realized how viral it went on Twitter. To a point where I think I went to a show and I didn't know anyone there, and the first thing they said to me is like, "Oh, dude, that hammer spot was so funny." I'm just like, I didn't know anyone knew about that.
But that's the thing, when you can do something like that, which is so like outrageously spectacular, and it comes to like, you know what I mean? Like it's so out of the cusp, like the fans aren't expecting it. So when that sort of thing happens, it's like they go, "Fuck, this is amazing. I'll pop for this shit. This is great." Because it's like it's something to break up something like necessary, like the over seriousness of what pro wrestling can be sometimes. Of, I'm an alpha male. I'm the bad ass motherfucker, and then you come out with a hammer. Then you come out with a hammer and do something like that. It sort of breaks that sort of mold of what the audience is seeing at the time.
And the best part about that spot, I had to thank them all, was the majority of guys who were in the ring and did the bump weren't just like some friends or like comedy wrestlers. They were all the serious guys who were like main events, who were either in the main events or in like the big important matches that were just all happened to be in the ring for this Rumble when I came out. And there was one dude, Jake Nova. He was like, you watch the video when I hold the hammer up. You can literally see him behind, like, oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Like just psyching himself. And as soon as I hit the hammer, he does a complete big moonsault bump. So like, it was just like, oh, I'm ready for it. I'm like, they were so committed to doing something funny that they themselves were having fun with it as well.
Let me ask you this: did anyone no-sell it?
No. No one no-sold it. They all, and that was the worst part. Because you're in a Rumble when you come, like, someone comes out and they do the bump and feed, like they get their shit in. As soon as I hit the hammer, everyone just laid down, like they all died. And I'm just sitting there, just like I threw the hand back, and I remember just staring, like, "Fuck, what am I supposed to do now?" And then like someone got up and I went to hit him a lariat, and I almost slipped, and I hit him with the worst lariat known. Like, oh, that stunk. And then I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna pick one of these guys up and try and eliminate them. And then it was just this nothingness afterwards. So it was so committed to making that look good that we didn't think of what to do next. Like I just had to naturally pick them up, and the crowd was like, okay, yeah, what else we got now?
But man, like, you know, I want to know, because like you and Lucille were going to head to DMDU. We were talking about it earlier. Pardon me. And you guys were going to be in a six-man tag. Well, not a six-man tag match, but a six-person triple threat tag team match with Misspent Youth, Corn Dog, Lily Blaze.
Yeah,
I was sitting there telling everyone, saying this is the match that could possibly steal the show. Very disappointed we didn't get to see that. But is that something that we're going to see in the near future once some of these lockdowns ease up?
Oh yeah, well look, like hopefully, if the match is still available, like as soon as lockdown's over, I'll be there. Like I very much would love to wrestle Misfit Youth. I very much love to definitely wrestle the Rampage guys. Like my God, like they're like a part. Like I know I'm not gonna be able to do it, but part of me wants to know I can be on that level with them because it's just every wrestler's got an ego, and you got to tick that box once in a while. Also, I like being humbled too. Like I had a match with Istria a long time ago, and I thought I knew a lot, and then I wrestled him, and he humbled the absolute fuck out of me. And then it's like, all right.
That's the thing, you would have walked away learning so much from that match.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think he realizes how much he taught me that night, because he was there for an opponent, because it was a tournament. He was there to wrestle a person that he always wanted to wrestle, but never got a chance to, and that person just happened to be in the tournament. And that's how they lured him into being on the show. I'm pretty sure, like, and they probably paid him and stuff like that. And I remember I got him in the main event, and it was so funny because he called it for 5 minutes, maybe even less than that, literally before we walked out. And he talked to me. He walked me through it. The match wasn't. I definitely could have been better, but the match was definitely better than what it would have been if I had just planned it out for half an hour before we did the match. Because he just taught me that even if you don't have something planned, as long as someone knows what they're doing and talking to you, a match can still be good. And it blew my mind. Like every time I have a match now, I always try and talking. Like I think I had a Rumble recently, and no one was bump and feeding, and I was crawling to every single person, telling them do this spot, do this spot. And I love it because I love the idea of being able to. Because since that match has taught me, I love the idea of being able to work like that instead of just using your memory and then trying to sell.
But I think using your memory would be one of, like, because I've got like the worst memory known to man. Like that's probably a good thing I'm not a wrestler. I'd probably be standing there going, "What?" I'd be like, "Hey, what are we doing?" Like, how hard like is that for you? Like, do you prefer to sort of call it out there in the ring? Maybe have one or two of the big spots planned out. Like, is it easier to have a better match doing it that way? Do you think?
Well, actually, I used to try and like plan every spot, and then it became we'll plan every spot, and hopefully everything goes right. And if something goes wrong, then I'll just freak out and figure it out. And then it eventually became I'll plan every spot, but if something goes wrong, it's fine. We'll just talk out there. And then it became I just want to do these spots. I don't give a fuck what you do in the heat. Is there any moves that I need to know about? Okay, cool. I'll just do those. That's cool. Just let me know before you do it. Like, and now it's. I've been to a couple of schools. And that was something too. Like, some of the schools did improve around here over the past few years, where they just throw you in the ring and they tell you, go and have a match on the fly. And I was so bad at it, but it taught me how to not panic and think, but at the same time still interact and still be a wrestler. Like, still wrestle. But one of the biggest things with what you were saying there, where my sort of match planning style has changed, is when we had Mark Davison, he just taught me what they do overseas. It's just everyone knows each other's spots. They know what moves everyone does. They don't need to plan anything. They can just be like, okay, we'll do this here, this. Let's just go. And the guys would go out there and like, okay, well, I know what this guy's shine is. I know what this guy's comeback is. So whatever happens in the heat, what happened in the heat.
Man, that's a great way to sort of do it as well. Like, I suppose it's by doing it that sort of style as well, you're learning to become a better performer. Where it's like, even if you're like wrestling someone who English might not be their first language, but you know what I mean. Like, there's certain things. Yeah, moonsault. Okay, you know what I mean. Like, you can sort of work around those sort of little elements, and then sort of go through it from there.
I mean, well, that's the thing. If you've been to a WWE live event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever watched a match on those live events and then seen almost the exact same match on a pay-per-view not long after?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened to me with Kevin Steen and Cesaro. And I remember seeing it, and I remember noting it. It's like, I literally watched this match live. It's just extended a bit more in the heat. And Davis was telling me, like, it's a very similar theory. If you're wrestling someone, you know their spots. You don't. If you wrestle them so many times, you don't even need to talk to them. You can. He was telling me there's times where he's had his tag partner go and have a bathroom break, come back and be like, "Don't worry, dude, I planned the match for you. We're doing this and this," and the guy will be like, "Oh yeah, it's cool. Let's do that." Like,
That's a lot of trust.
Well, that's because and it's because if you know, and he was saying if you know everyone's shit, then you don't. It's not even a freak out anymore. Like you can pretty much have one conversation, plan it out, maybe rehearse, maybe go through it one more time, and then you have the match. And essentially, you should have it all up here anyway. And that's with this wrestling scene. It got a lot easier when I started memorizing what people do. The unfortunate thing is, everyone likes to change their shit up every show. So I'm like, this, I might try Tombstone this show. I'm like, have you done it before? Is this a normal thing? Like, do you have to? What happened to you? I did a super kick.
Oh, super kick is so last week, bro.
Oh, yeah. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit you with 3 super kicks and then hit you with a tombstone. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a lot more chances for you to hit me in the head again, but okay, yeah, let's do that.
Let's go for it. But guys, it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 Seconds with Piers. We've warned or briefed Bobby about it, however you want to call it. How it's going to work is I'm going to fire a bunch of questions at Bobby. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. Bobby, are you ready to get this going?
Let's go.
All right. First up, Gold Class or VMAX at the movies?
Gold Class.
What TV series can you watch over and over again?
Oh, easily. Community.
Roses or tulips?
Roses.
Instagram or Twitter?
Twitter.
Snapchat or TikTok?
None. I don't do any. Oh, TikTok. Go TikTok.
One has to go. Game of Thrones, Lord of Rings, or Harry Potter?
Oh, bye-bye, Harry Potter.
If you could sit down and ask Vince McMahon one question, what would it be?
Easily. What was the best advice you were ever given?
If you came with a warning label, what would it be?
He talks a lot and loud.
If you were given a lion as a pet, what would you name it?
A lion?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean? Sorry. Like
a lion.
Oh, lion! I think I'd call it Klaus.
And the last question. In 5 minutes, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Oh, tablet full of Seinfeld and Community, and all my subscriptions.
There you go. That is time. That has been Bobby Bishop on 60 Seconds with Piers. Bobby, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, man. I feel like the hour just really went by. I think we got to do this again. I'm just putting it out there, man. We're gonna do it again.
Oh no, I think we should too. There was some things in my head I wanted to talk about later, and I was like, I'll just do the intro, and then look, it's an hour. Okay,
dude. You know what? Let's get you back on next week if we can work it out.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that if you want to go again.
Oh, absolutely, man. But Bobby, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, man?
Yep. So I am on Twitter. I am the Cult Classic Bobby Bishop. On Instagram, I am also the Cult Classic Bobby Bishop, and on Facebook, I am the Cult. No, I'm still the Retro Kid on Facebook. Retro Kid Bobby Bishop. I will change it, but I'll give it a month after this.
There you go, guys. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Sleeps.com, your one-stop shop for all your athletic wear, and also healthvape.com, your healthy vaping alternative. Make sure you check out those amazing companies. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% purchase. And guys, we've got Lucille Brawl in the background. Maybe we'll see her moonwalking a bit later.
I do it to her all the time.
But guys, make sure you check out all of the amazing shows that we have on offer. Make sure you subscribe to the Realm Network and check out our free live content that comes to you every single week. Make sure you check our social medias. But guys, until next time, I'm Piers Austin. That's the Cult Classic Bobby Bishop, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
See you guys.